another thing like with community and relationships is seek out people who need it, but maybe not know they need it. And so one of my friends, who's still my friend today, Elizabeth Nichols. Hey girl, she's gonna listen.
Yeah,
she
she's
like does
for sure
listening.
listening.
So Elizabeth, she
Good
just
shout
like
out.
saw me and she just said, hey, like I want you to come to this Bible study. And since then has like really mentored me, been a good friend. Like the same for my brother. A guy Thomas was the same way for him. Just like saw him and said, hey, like, I mean, I don't really said, hey, let me mentor you, but that's what happened. Like it started with a friendship and has really grown and it's been so special. And the points in my life where I just did not know what I was doing.
We'll kick it off. This is Generation Giants podcast. This is Kyle Taylor here with Ashley Jacobs, Charles Cannon, and Callie Neal. And today is going to be a little bit different than the normal episode. So we are. This is a little bit of a new format that we're going to do today. So you guys have been part of our show for, I guess, several months now.
Yeah.
And
Sounds right.
rising through the ranks, and y'all have been part of our episode. And so today we're coming together and we're going to be talking about actually kicking off a series entitled "Things That I Wish People Told Me." Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Callie?
that's
You're
great.
actually the brainchild of this. I'm just like the
You know,
vehicle
well,
right
here's
now.
the deal. When Kyle originally asked us to be a part of the podcast, Ashley and I were like, well, privately for like a month before Kyle spoke to us, we were like, we got to get on this podcast. Cashley's book club. Like,
Yeah,
what
we
can
were
we
really
what can
Ashley,
we bring
let's
to
go.
the table here?
Yeah.
And then he was like, hey, we want you to be on
Our
like
team.
with us, our team. And I was like, oh, dang it, not yet.
Yeah.
But now,
Here we are, living out our dream.
you know, our thank you notes
the
right now
podcast.
taking us up the ranks. Here we are.
Y'all might have dropped subliminal messages along the way too. I have no idea how this even came to
Cashley's
be,
book club. Yeah, so
We like books.
but here we are.
Oh, man. That's funny.
yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah, that's the criteria.
Yeah, let's do
Talk
it.
about books and good stuff.
Life.
Most importantly, you got to be a cool person. So
Check.
right on.
Heyo.
Check.
So today we're going to be talking about things that I wish people told us about relationships. So relationships, as we're going to be discussing it a little bit more broadly. A lot of people just hear the word relationships and they think, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, going toward marriage or something like that. So we're literally talking about relationships you have with people. So
Yeah.
friendships, family, maybe it's your significant other. Charles, you might be having something you want to say about it. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
We'll see what comes
Teaser,
out.
teaser.
And so that's going to be, so this is planned to be a 3-part series. So I'm super excited about it.
Good.
We might even have some curveballs along the way. So stay tuned. Even things I haven't even talked to you guys
Curveball
about.
number
Things
one.
don't
We might
even
have a
know.
live audience at some point during this series.
Oh, nice. That'd be
So
cool.
Yeah.
that was a as a good thing, right?
Yeah, I was like, yes, finally.
Yeah.
So hey, as we get started, you know, you guys have been on the show at least once or several times.
Yeah.
But why don't you guys give a brief introduction here? I mean, y'all are co-hosts, but give a brief introduction as to who you are and what you do. Starting with Ashley.
All right. Hey, y'all. I'm Ashley. I am a teacher. I teach math, algebra 1, if you're like getting specific, but all things mathematical. I've been living in Charleston now for almost 4 years. I attend Seacoast Church, big part of my life. In my free time, I like to hang out with Callie sometimes.
To the point that we have dubbed Cashley as
Ashley.
Yeah.
as the name.
Yeah. Cashley. Sometimes we answer to it, sometimes we do not. But yeah, in my
If
free time.
it's coming from me, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good
of
because I
course.
trademarked it. No one else can use it.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I really enjoy the beach. That's why I live in Charleston. Being outside, especially on a nice day like today, it finally feels like fall outside.
Yeah.
Glorious.
Yeah, just that's about it.
Glorious.
Nice. Nice.
Charles.
All right. So, as Kyle mentioned earlier, my name is Charles Cannon. I am in the Air Force, but I'm also a full-time student at Charleston Southern University. My major is political science. I love politics. I'll be graduating here in May 2019.
Yeah.
Let's see. In my free time, I like to go to the gym. I'm actually trying to read a little bit more. I just got this book, by Marcus Aurelius, and it's just kind of talking about
like
his
the old
reflections.
commander of
Yeah, man, of
like
Rome.
a Roman army.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So he's actually, I guess, he was like the last great philosopher king.
Is that the guy from the Gladiator movie?
Yes. So his son.
So I can watch Gladiator and basically
Right.
get the Spark Notes.
To a degree, yeah, we can go with that.
Was he the king guy or was he the gladiator guy?
So they spoke a lot about Marcus Aurelius, but he dies early because his son.
He was like the legend in the movie.
right, because his son is the one that
That's even better.
kills. What is
His
the
son was the
guy's-
guy who killed the evil king person.
Well, his son was the guy who killed the good guy.
Oh, his son killed a good guy?
Yeah, his son was Commodus.
Yeah, you
the
lost me.
Roman.
But anyway, okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry,
Sorry.
Cashley's been lost.
Still a highly
But
recommended
like,
movie.
I really appreciate
Yes.
how
Dude,
into
Gladiator's
this you
a
are.
great
yeah,
movie.
this is very cool.
Any excuse I can
Love
go to
the
watch
passion.
Gladiator
Yeah.
again. You know, so you
Yeah.
got this book.
Yeah, man. So I got the book. Few pages in, but it's pretty interesting. So, yeah, that's me. in a
Modern Day
nutshell.
Warrior.
Trying to be. Hopefully, one day.
We're going to talk about your rising ability to fly across the world
Yes, sir.
here shortly too
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
Nice. I'm Callie, and I too am a teacher. I teach ninth grade English. It's really fun. I went to Presbyterian College, and that's where I met Ashley for the first time.
Go Blue
Y'all don't know
Hose.
this. You don't know this. So I knew when I met Ashley for the first time, or the second time, I was like, she's got to be in my sorority family. And so I sent her an email. And I was like, hey, girl, do you want to hang out? And then look at us now. Here we are on a podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. I did not think anything was weird. I
I-
just didn't realize at the
Yeah.
time what was
Look,
happening.
She did not
I
have
Yeah,
just
how'd
thought
that-
I had a new friend.
How'd that work out? Like, do you want to come live in our?
Well, we didn't have a house,
Do you
but I
wanna
was like,
come
we
hang
went
out
and
with
got
me and my
lunch
30
together.
girlfriends? What do you say?
Yeah,
Live
yeah.
on
Do you,
commune.
yeah, do you want to hang out? We're going to watch The Bachelorette tonight. Do you want to come?
That's how it all starts.
Yeah. You have to like pretend you like all these shows. You're like, hey, you want to hang out with us? Like,
Oh, are you suggesting that all
girls?
girls don't like Bachelorette, even though
Oh, I
they say
don't.
they do?
I'm not really into it.
Maybe it's all a sham.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
It's like if guys don't even care about fantasy football, dude. I gotta act like I like
American
it.
Yeah.
Ninja
Yeah.
Warrior.
Oh,
That's
dude.
pretty cool though.
But American Ninja, everybody likes
I
that.
feel like you
That's
would be on
universal.
that show, Kyle.
That's universal. I'd kind of enjoy American Ninja Warrior.
I think that would be
do
cool.
that.
Let's make that
Um,
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. American
One-
Ninja Warrior, if you're listening.
One thing our
coming.
listeners may need to know is evidently Ashley and I have the same voice,
Yeah, we get that all the time, but I don't really hear it. Do you
but
think we sound the same?
so if someone says something dumb, it's probably Ashley and I. We just pretend it's
right.
who knows who said it.
right.
It's probably Ashley.
Everyone needs
all
to
right,
have some
there.
kind of excuse like that, though.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? I've got
Yeah.
another
Ashley said that.
coworker at work named Kyle as well, and so we're always
That
like,
darn Kyle.
"Hey, the
Kyle
other,
did
that was
that.
the other Kyle, man. I don't know what you're talking about right now."
Wasn't for sure. But yeah, life's good.
Glorious.
We
That's a good
love,
one.
yeah,
I-
we just love this podcast. We love the mission. It's been really fun to work with Generation Giants. So
Yeah,
I'm
we've
excited
been
to
a fan
see
for a while. Now we're
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
podcast life.
Well, I'm excited to have you guys. I'm excited about today in this series. We might even end up going a little bit over an hour as we normally do. So, but I encourage everybody to stay tuned because I have no idea exactly what we're gonna dig
Listen
into,
to
but
us.
I'm excited about it. So, hey, any highs and lows that we wanted to share before we got started? I know I got so many things. Well, I was telling you guys. I'll share two quick highs. Started group cycling again, and
Gnarly.
Takes a
and
special
if you
person.
ever want to start a group cycle, so group cycling is where basically a bunch of 50-plus-year-olds get together, plus me, and so
and Kyle.
and it's crazy. They're all like crazy cyclists. I mean, they're like they just keep going. And so I went the other week for the first time in years. 'Cause I used to do it, and I got in a wreck with another cyclist, some newbie, and kind of pulled me up. But my bike was okay, so I haven't had to get a new bicycle. It was great. And so started going again and found myself in like the elite group accidentally. And so I wanted to only do 30 and ended up doing 50. It was 56 when I was all said and done.
56 miles. For
It's
the
supposed to be
listeners.
Yeah.
50, but I got lost. I got dropped in the ride. It's just like no mercy out there.
And
But,
then beat him at
dude,
the end.
yeah, these guys and ladies are just crushing it out there. And then there's, me getting dropped at mile 40 or whatever. So luckily I have GPS and I found my way back. And so that was kind of a I don't know, is that a low or is that a high? I
No, it
didn't
depends on your outlook on it.
Yeah.
I found
That's
my
right.
I got
You
back
make
home, so
it.
that's probably a high, I guess.
Yeah.
Couldn't walk for a little bit. And so kind of got back into that. That's a little bit high. And then I'd say the other mixture, I feel like all my experiences are mixtures. highs and lows. The other one would be I got to serve at Conway, South Carolina. So, prayers goes out to all those that have been affected by these hurricanes.
Yeah.
And we got super blessed. Which one missed us? It was really big.
I think it was
Florence.
Florence. Yeah, Florence, right. So Florence missed us, but Conway, South Carolina, which is like 2 hours away, where we have a Seacoast campus, got hit fairly hard, but most importantly, they have several rivers that come together. So who'd have thunk it? So literally, it's like 4 weeks later, and it's still flooded, and flood waters are coming back, back to normal, which is an interesting thing. People come to me asking about floods and FEMA and everything, because that's a little bit part of what I do. And I always tell them like, hey, we design for a certain level of risk, and like, some people are like, but I flooded, but they say they designed for it. Well, we can't design for everything. But Florence has all these rivers that come together, and so it's hard to anticipate the impacts of several rivers that come together. So anyway, went there, and God bless everybody. We got to help out, distribute, relief supplies. It was awesome. And then day 2 and 3, we ripped out and gutted out homes, mucked out homes, as it's called. And it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Got to hang out with some awesome people. Built some friendships. And want to encourage people like, hey, like this was something I had to sort of commit multiple times on. Like I committed during the storm, actually, when I figured out we were going to get spared. I was like, let me like turn this into a good action, right? So I signed up and then actually got the email and was all right, now I got to actually go. So I want to encourage people like step out of your comfort zone and actually like commit to doing something, even if it's going to be out of your way, because it's always out of your way, right? So I had to give up a day of work and a weekend, but it was an awesome experience, and it was kind of a funny thing. I didn't share this with you guys. I don't know if it's appropriate or not. Do y'all want to know what I listen to as my alarm in the morning on the weekend sometimes?
Oh no!
So this
I
is
don't know if we're ready.
This might be concerning. I might need to edit this out. I don't know. So my alarm goes off on like Saturday morning at 7 or 8 a.m. and we're already up getting breakfast, so I'm not in the room. And relief supplies was supposed to be done with, but someone came early in the morning. So there's this nice old lady, just lovely old lady, just going around the circle in the big room to get supplies.
Everyone that's like,
and to get supplies, and then some of my friends were helping her out. Here's the soap, here's the food supplies. You take as much as you like.
Right.
And then I heard after the fact that my alarm came on, and I'll try to play it for. Let's see if I can get it going. All right, let's see.
yep.
Oh yes.
How do you feel about that?
No.
Hang on, wait for it. It gets better.
Okay.
Nope.
You feeling it?
Yeah.
If we're being honest, this is exactly what I
So that
expected.
went really well. So that went really well. We had a great laugh about it.
That's terrifying.
That's my high and low.
It's like wake up from a nightmare with
That's
that.
just funny.
Come
Do you
back to church.
Do you wake up kind of like seize the day with that, or
Yeah, just ready to get going,
Yeah, that's good.
I kind of balance it out, though. During the week, it's usually a little bit different.
That's good.
So for those that might want to know, that's Breakdown of Sanity. The song was called Hero.
Even
Downloading
better.
now.
Yeah, right.
available where music is sold.
Yeah, so anyway, it was a fun time. We had a great laugh about that, though. It was really funny.
That's
Oh,
cool.
mercy.
So y'all have any highs and
Wow.
lows you want to share?
Wow.
Well, we just finished up the girlies in the room, and the guys. Listen, so we just finished up with Chosen, a women's conference here at Seacoast.
Okay. Yep, I got to go.
Yeah,
I
Kyle
infiltrated.
was there.
Directing traffic
Directing
in the parking
traffic,
lot. Someone's got
showing
to
those
do it.
ladies where to go.
Yo,
Colin
let me
was
tell
there.
you, there were so many ladies, and they are so early.
Yeah.
They are punctual.
They
Yes.
are ready to hear from the Lord.
Guys'
And
conference would not.
Not at all.
Colin was there. Colin did
Oh,
parking.
Conlon crushed it. Conlon behind the video right
what'd
here.
you do? Tear down too?
Yeah, yeah.
Nope.
Everything.
I think he was there for that too. Colin was just there, and it was just so cool to see a lot of the young guys. And when I say young guys, like people our age and younger.
Yeah, well, teenagers.
Yeah, and like teens who were
Teens.
there saying, "Hey, there's a need here. Let's meet it."
Let's
So that
help.
was really fun
was
to
awesome.
see them pitching in, especially like their moms were there. It was just really cute. Was that cute, Conlon? Nodding.
Running the camera.
But yeah, it was really fun seeing the guys serving us in that way and the ladies that way. But Chosen was great.
Yeah, and there were also like lots of hands on deck. So at one
Yeah.
point in the time, I was volunteering back where the dream team was, so opening doors for the band,
Yo, I
and
walked
all
in
the
there.
volunteers. It was a highlight. It was so great just to say thank you to everyone, and just it
So
was
fun.
so many people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just seeing people who have spent like the whole year planning this. I know a lot of us know
So it
Jan,
comes
her.
together.
She
Yeah.
just really.
Kevin's been on here. Her husband.
Yeah, so they actually, the both of them led a table for financial peace, and I met them. So I guess like 2.5 years ago through that, and it's been like, even just speaking of relationships, you know, I knew them through there, and they were, of course, like so nice, and like I've kept up, but just me from afar watching Jan and like how she serves has been really cool, and she probably has no idea that. I mean, that's not in a creepy way, but like just like watching her and seeing her so involved, like
Yeah, you never
you
know.
go, girl. You know, you just never know who's watching. Along with relationships, like who you're inspiring and who's making a difference, and who you can see doing that. So that was fun. Chosen was really great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. yeah.
Would recommend.
And I'll even make a point
10 out of
about
10.
that specific couple. So there's a guy in our small group actually who did the hike with Kevin, the men's hike, and like just through that, Kevin like opened up their spare bedroom for him for like a month or two
Wow.
because he moved down here, and then
That was beautiful.
some challenges came his way, and so they helped him get back on his feet, and he's got a new job, you know, since moving here. Some things didn't work out, so yeah, Kevin and Jan are awesome. That's what financial peace
Yeah,
does.
for
You know,
sure.
a little plug. I think our last episode we did a little plug also for
Oh yeah.
for
Oh,
Dave
yeah.
Ramsey. Yeah,
I'm
what's
all
so
up in that
important?
piece right now.
Actually has the piece. Love
She's
to hear
financial
with it.
peace. Please
Feeling
do it.
it.
Everyone do it, please.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave
We just
Ramsey, if you're
finished-
listening to this, I love you.
At
Thank
Dave
you.
Ramsey, at Richard Cruz, at Anthony O'Neill, at yeah.
Everyone.
We have really, so we just did a home group with that, and we just finished up. So Ashley's got the piece.
Solid.
Yeah, we're still working on the budget, still working our way through some things, but
Yeah.
it's good. Really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Charles, hey, you want to share really quick about your latest big update?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Charles, tell
yeah.
us.
You're going places.
So first,
Literally
in the sky.
I have to say this, right. Congratulations to the CSU Bucks for beating
Oh my
Cash
God.
Let's
All
go.
All right.
The disrespect.
great football team.
Hey,
Our
go
school
Citadel.
Just be our
Go Bulldogs.
school in football. All right.
No. So in all seriousness, probably about 2 weeks ago now, I got a pilot slot as a part of the Air Force ROTC program. So when I go
Awesome.
back active duty next year in 2019, it will be as a pilot for the United States Air Force. So
That's
pretty
amazing.
crazy. Yeah. Kind of
great.
a dream that I've been chasing for about 3 years. I kind of was trying to decide between like special operations and the pilot route. And so I was just kind of praying, waiting for God to close one door and open another, and the pilot door opened up. So I figured, hey, should walk through this one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great.
So yeah,
Nice.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. And so here, in May, it's
Yep.
gonna be all kind of big updates because you said you're graduating from your like degree because you said you're in
Right.
school and you're graduating from this pilot program. Is that
Right. Right. So, yep. So in May, I will graduate from CSU. I will go active duty, so I will start going to the pilot training. But then May is just a great month because May is the month of my birthday, right?
Yeah.
So,
Almost as good as the month of August.
yeah, almost. I'll let Kyle have that one. But no, at least for next year, May will be pretty exciting time.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, man.
Good.
That's neat.
Good. We'll get into, I think, Callie, you were gonna be the master of
Yeah.
our opening round of this
Oh,
or that is what
yes.
we're calling
Oh,
it. What are we calling it?
We did. This is gonna be Would You Rather, like
Would-
a lightning round. Would you rather?
Would you rather? I feel like I'm in
Yeah.
middle school again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but
And I also
I'm
would just
on
like to
edge
warn
now.
the people that I approached Callie to maybe like let's start thinking together of some things that we can bring to the table for Would You Rather.
And no.
Callie did this all on her own and would not tell me any of it. So here we go.
Well,
she's hearing it for
I'm
the
excited
first,
about
for
it.
the first
Yeah.
time hearing these.
Mostly
Would You
excited
Rathers.
about Ashley's responses.
This is actually the first one is what a student asked me pretty recently. Would you rather have Cheeto hands for the rest of your life or never eat meat again?
Initial thought, Cheeto hands.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm giving up the meat.
Yep. Bye. Nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have to give up the meat. Cheeto hands are just really crummy.
Cheeto
Every time you shake
crummy.
somebody's hand and give them
Cheeto
a
dust
hug.
everywhere.
Yeah, do you want to go back on what you said? Or you
No, I'm sticking
still
my
good
answer
for the
Cheeto
meat?
hands. Come on
Imagine-
now.
Kyle,
And then what-
imagine wearing white pants and stuff like Cheeto hands.
Just imagine being able to eat meat with your hands with Cheeto hands. It's
Oh,
like you
man.
just
A
automatically
Cheeto
lather
chicken.
it up.
I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. That
Lather
sounds
it up.
good.
Yeah, eat your
Man.
sandwiches and just, I mean, you really got to like cheese, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of
Cheeto
depends
time.
on what kind of cheese you're dealing
Artificial cheese.
with. No,
Okay.
I'm sure it's organic dairy, happy cow.
Yeah, for
cheese.
sure.
Yeah.
Would you rather your shirts be 2 sizes too big or 1 size too small?
Let's go one size too small, baby.
Crop top.
Kyle, with-
Baby
At
gap,
work?
baby.
But like at work too, you'd be cool with that when you're
Oh, yeah.
getting shirts at the work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be like, that dude works out.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever. We'll do whatever.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the
It's
2
mostly a male
sizes.
profession.
Too big.
Yep.
Nope. Mm-mm. I like sometimes. Oh gosh,
Touching
tight
me.
things touching me.
No, I'm there. I'm with you 100%.
Oh, man.
I thought this was going to be like a no-brainer, but man,
Yeah.
skinny clothes.
I think I'm going to have to go with Kyle. I'm going to have to go with one
It-
size
I'm
too
picturing
small.
I'm picturing shirts though, not pants. I don't know
Muscle
if I can do
tees.
the
Okay, now we're
skinny
changing it
jeans.
to pants. Would you
No,
wear
no, you
pants?
can't change
Oh,
the
no.
question.
Baggy pants.
Oh,
Baggy.
We can't bring
Mix
that
it up.
back.
Do the super baggy pants with a tight shirt. That
Oh,
Oh,
that
no.
would look so strange.
Cringy.
look like a karate teacher or something, probably.
Okay,
They wear loose clothing.
let's do one more. Would you rather be locked in a room that's dark, like completely dark for a week, or completely bright for a week?
Completely bright.
Like the sun or like just
Like
fluorescent
blinding?
lights.
Okay,
What's
let's go
the
with
lighting?
blinding light.
Mm,
Oh.
no. Completely dark.
Really?
I don't know. The
I'll
dark
take
though,
that for
lonely. I don't
1,000.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit scary.
Oh, the dark.
Foreshadowing to the movie Halloween, we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, are we gonna talk about it
Oh,
later? Because
man.
we need to.
We've got a
I don't
movie
know if
star
I'm
in our
allowed.
midst. You're contractually obligated. You can't talk. No, now you can.
Now
Yeah,
you
the
can.
movie's out,
Advertise for the
right?
movie
The
that
pod's
you've
probably
been a
not
part
going to
of.
come out for like a week or so.
Oh,
we've-
so I think I'll be okay.
I'm going to say completely dark except for the week of Halloween. That's not good.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna
That's
go with
fair.
the bright, blinding. I don't like the dark.
yeah, I think I'd have to go blinding too.
Man, I can't
Just
do
shut
it.
your eyes.
You could just
that's
sleep
fair.
through the whole
Eyes.
thing.
Can I sleep? Yeah.
That'd be hard to sleep through
Touche.
for a whole week. I would like to. I'd like to see how it felt, but I think if it's completely dark, right? So I learned this. I'll use my education, right?
Yes.
Trivial
Oh,
knowledge.
you about to get
right?
scientific on us?
So check this out. So after about an hour, your eyes can adjust to seeing in the dark. Now it's obviously not as good as like
But complete darkness.
yeah, I don't know. I have to go back and
Yeah.
check, but
But also,
We'll
like,
see.
what's in this room? Is it an empty
Snakes.
room?
oh yeah, I would need it to be.
We're changing the variables on this.
yeah.
I'm out of there.
throwing in too many
No, thank
variables.
you.
Yeah, if there's snakes involved, I'm running regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be in the room.
Getting out
That's
of there.
first.
Snakes on a plane, most horrific movie ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, but have
Crazy
you
horror
listened
movie.
to that soundtrack? I used to be obsessed with the Snakes on a Plane soundtrack.
No, I haven't.
It's actually really good. I
Really?
feel like Kyle, you would really enjoy it. Yeah.
Type of music, what is it?
Just like some heavy metal, but like really
Okay,
get you
let's
going.
go. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's got
Maybe
Kyle's
our
name
intro and
all over
outro.
it.
Let's check it out.
Wait.
Snakes on a
I'm gonna
plane.
have to, like own that music, but
Tired of these motherfucking snakes on the mother.
Yeah.
Is that not the most famous line ever?
I've
Yeah.
never seen
It's
it.
hilarious.
Oh, it's a creepy movie because like you're stuck on a plane and snakes are everywhere. But the music is really good
Yeah, the
Have to go
sequel's
back
gonna
and
be
check it
trapped
out.
in a dark room.
Trapped in a dark room with a snake.
with
Yeah,
snakes
we'll have to figure out.
or a blinding room, whichever you
Trapped
choose.
in a
Either one you
blinding
can't
room
see. That's
with
true.
snakes.
Wait, speaking of rooms, have you guys ever done an escape room? I know I'm like getting really
Not
off
No,
yet.
topic,
I've missed
but-
it.
Okay.
I've had friends that I couldn't. I missed it.
All right,
Okay.
I did it last weekend, and it was like an ancient Egyptian escape room, and it was like codes and math. Colin has done that one.
Nice.
Okay,
Gotcha.
Do that one?
it is so cool.
Ashley
So it was like
said-
a group of 6 of us.
And you said it was worth like all the money.
Yeah,
It was very
so
worth
it was
it.
like probably gonna get the money wrong, but it's like maybe like $40 or $35. But I had a coupon and I had $5 off, and so it's like supposed to be 8 people in a room, but we didn't fill the two slots, and I guess they never sold those either. So it's just 6 of us in a room,
You know,
small room.
Ashley,
it was really cool.
I can't think
So
of a
cool.
better way of building relationships with people than just trapping yourself in a room and trying to escape.
A
Yes.
blind.
And
like
that's
blocks,
probably a
hieroglyphics,
good point that we
codes.
ought to make as we're talking about relationships. You know,
Yeah,
Let's
man.
go.
Hey, if you want to really build friends for life,
Lock them in a room
Lock
with you
'em in a
and
room.
make them your friend.
yeah. But then you try to
No
escape
snakes,
together.
though.
I mean, that's the key
Yeah.
point. You end up escaping.
And you
I
work together.
assume.
And it
What
was
if you don't
good.
escape, Ashley? What happens?
Because of the fire
Do
code
they have a certain
and the
room?
fire
The
marshal,
fire
the
code.
door is never really locked.
Oh, the government saves you.
Yes.
Oh.
So,
Amen. God bless.
yeah.
Oh.
And so, like,
Wish
at
that
one
happened in
point,
real
one
life.
of our friends, like, took a little restroom break and then came back. So, like, we were
Oh,
never fully
man.
locked
That's
in.
cheating.
But
Yeah.
it's like the suspense. Like, the time is on the wall and it's like counting down. You can use all of these hints if you want to. They're like black lights for codes. You're trying to figure everything around. You don't know the order of what things are going in.
Okay, here's a question.
It's
Do
really
they,
cool.
How often do they change? Do they change scenarios?
Yeah, so at the one that we went to, downtown Charleston, there were like 5 different scenarios that you could choose. I personally wanted to do like the murder, like kidnapping one, but my friends didn't really go for that. So we did ancient Egyptians.
That's cool.
It was really cool.
So you can do
I
it again.
recommend it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, for sure.
That'll be your next team building activity.
Yeah,
Let's go.
That sounds good.
We'll have to tag them and
We need 3 more friends.
pursue a sponsorship.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. We'll invite our advisory board.
Yes.
Yeah. That
if you're
sounds good.
listening.
Yes.
Hopefully by the time
You're
this
listening.
podcast comes out, we've already gone to it.
And
And so in the
escaped.
next one, we will tell you about our adventure
Oh,
Yeah.
in
true.
the escape.
Let's do
It
it.
could be like
If
a
we
recurring
escaped or
thing.
not.
True.
Yeah, we can do an Instagram poll. Did we escape? Yes or no?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did we take bathroom breaks?
Yeah.
I'm going to say yeah.
Who gave up first?
Oh man.
Nice. Well, so today, or was there anything else I wanted to add to any of that? That was pretty good.
That was fun.
No,
Did
yeah,
you have
that
any
was
other?
good.
Would you rather?
No, I felt like that was a good finale.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
that was a tough one.
Yeah. sounds
Wasn't
good.
expecting that.
Yeah.
And then the snakes.
That's fair.
Snakes in a room.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. We don't want that. Question: spiders or snakes? Which one's worse?
Oh, ooh,
Snakes, without a doubt.
Snakes?
Without a doubt. You can stomp on a spider.
Stop thinking about it. Which one, Callie?
snakes are way worse. Snakes are worse.
Snakes way worse.
Way
Which
worse
one?
snakes.
Ashley, don't
Yeah,
think about it.
Snakes.
Snakes are okay.
Snakes are worse. Snakes are worse.
Consensus.
Well,
Got it.
But the
gotcha.
worst out of all
That was a
of them,
necessary question we had to ask.
out of every
Wait.
creepy crawly thing, the worst thing there are frogs. I would rather be in a room full of snakes than a room full of frogs.
No way.
Every time I see a frog, I cry.
It's true.
Strongly disagree with that one.
It's really true.
Yeah, strongly.
I hope none of my students are listening to this because they would have a field day.
I'm sorry. This
I
is
really-
like really
can't
rude
do
of me,
frogs.
but I've told many students about Ashley's fear of frogs. I have like a clay frog on my desk, like an art project from a kid.
I had to turn it around every time I walk in the room. Even like pictures of frogs.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
People are gonna send you frog mail now.
The more embarrassing stories y'all share, the
Instead of
more
fan
yeah,
mail, it's
more
you
we'll
wish
pay
we
you guys.
were not on this team.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Please change the
Talk
subject.
about a relationship that's been growing.
So our relationship to
friendship.
frogs
Here we are.
really needs some help. There's a general consensus. None of us want. None of us have a positive relationship to snakes.
Not at all.
But relationships with people, those are the best kind of relationships. Am I right?
Yes.
Consensus there.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
so hey, so as an introduction to today's topic, well, and in the series at large. So really excited about this series. I mean, really, a heart of this podcast is reaching young people and just sharing stories and experiences and wisdom that we've learned and things that have been passed down to us to help encourage young people to help them to become more than they ever thought capable and do more than they ever thought possible. And so relationships is one, that was sort of at the top of your list, Callie, when you suggested this topic, which this topic is kind of something that we naturally share a lot on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of just a natural thing of sharing things that we wish we maybe knew a little bit earlier. But relationships, I think, are key because, as at least I'll share a little bit about, relationships are probably the most necessary and most valuable commodity, if you will, than anything else. I think it's more valuable than money, than anything, is the relationships you have and how healthy of a community that you have. And so I know none of us have done relationships with friends and family perfectly, but that's what we get to share a little bit about from. So, so that's why it's important to me. And yeah, just becoming kind of the best version of you that you can be. I mean, the relationships, whenever you have the skills and just the natural, a positive spirit and approach and perspective toward other people, that in turn, you never know where those relationships will lead. And, the teachers, like in school, you might run into them later in life, and how you treated them, whether you had a positive relationship as a student will reflect your relationship whenever you're both adults.
Yep.
Your relationship with coworkers will affect whether you can come to them later, or even in your immediate season of life. and family, really isn't going anywhere. I've seen families have issues when, especially if there's a death later in the family and there's problems many of us have been touched by family issues. People just didn't really understand how to approach family right. And so I think what we're going to talk about, the little bit that we get to talk about, because this is something, books have been written about how to approach friends and family and everything, which I'll even ask you guys, book recommendations as well. Like, we'll talk about that later. So, maybe Callie, if we can just start with you.
Yeah.
What would your blank be? I wish I was told, which people had told me blank.
Yeah, I wish people would have told me that a whole lot about friendships is understanding where the other person is coming from and having to of course, worrying about yourself and your own needs, but seeing where the other person's perspective and understanding their perspective when you're in a relationship with people and doing the hard stuff with people and getting real with people. And I'll tell a story. People are going to think Ashley's my only friend.
I promise we have other friends.
We have other friends.
We
We'll
don't
have
even
them on the
live
podcast
together.
sometimes.
We have our own roommates. We have so many other people in our lives.
But we
just
do work
gravitate
together,
towards each
carpool
other.
together. Is my grand little in my sorority. But we were
We're judging us. The people are judging
Hang on.
us now.
For those like me, what exactly is a grand little? I know
Okay,
you told me.
so it's me, and then my little sister is Ellen. Love your girl.
Hey, Ellen.
And then she's not gonna listen.
Oh no.
But we love Ellen.
I'll make sure she listens.
Oh yeah, we'll send this
after
to
all this.
Ellen. And then after Ellen's little sister is Ashley.
Me.
So I'm
Hello.
just 2 years older.
So it's like
Okay.
it's like you have your mom and then a grandma, but not moms, but sisters.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, we were, I guess, last year, in the car one day, and I think it wasn't like we were really fighting, but there was some tension we were both feeling, but not enough to where we were addressing it. It was just we were both stressed
it
in
is
our
what
own
it
ways.
is. Yeah.
I think we were just both stressed out. I think it was probably spring and everything gets kind of crazy with school and stuff in spring. And I know we've talked about the Enneagram before, but I think it is so helpful in understanding yourself and others. And Kyle still hasn't, I bet you haven't taken your test yet, have you?
You know me too well. That probably means I'm a certain number.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure. I
What
think
number
you're
does that
three.
make me?
I think
The
you're
people
three.
that don't want to take it.
No, yeah. Callie's also
That's
really good
off the
at
chart on there. I
I'm
bet.
really
Guessing
good at
people's
guessing
numbers.
people's numbers, but not guessing, knowing people enough to know their numbers. So, but anyways, so we had just taken the test, and I was looking through, when you know people's numbers, it's a number 1 through 9. And when you know people's numbers, you can see how you interact with each other. And so I'm a 1 and Ashley's a 2. So I am very black and white. I am very rules and a rule follower. And Ashley is the typical Christian lady, so loving and giving and and so we were looking at, you can Google, okay, so Enneagram 1 and 2
spots.
mix. And so your trouble spots. And then also of course, it's all in relationships, but a lot is with a romantic partner. But we were looking through it, and
skip
it
over
said,
those parts.
Yeah, we skip over that weird stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just
Garbage.
and so, but anyways,
God.
so we were looking at it, and so for us, it was just such an eye opener because we were reading it, and it was oh. I was seeing when people were taking advantage of Ashley, and I was approaching it saying, you have to quit doing this. You have to take up for yourself, not even take up for yourself, but you have to say no. And you have to just protect your time and yourself. And when, and so
When
for
she
me,
realized-
which is white and black, I'm telling her this. And then when I'm seeing she, with her personality, when someone comes at you like that, you retreat and you don't want, you just feel attacked. And so anyways, learning how that worked, it's oh, this is why
I do not talk to you about my feelings.
yeah, this is why my thoughts formerly, we've gotten past that.
We've
But
done a lot better.
but yeah, at the time I just saw things so black and white. Ashley, come on, you have got to protect your time. You've got to protect yourself. You're running ragged right now. And she just cares so much about others that she will just say yes and support others in that way, where I'm come on, girl, you're hurting yourself. But yeah, and it was even fun this summer when we were at the beach with our family. My parents took it, and my dad's a 1 and my mom's a 2. And it was even funny seeing them this makes sense. And just so many things relationally, how people work with each other. And there's no bad number. There's no better number than the rest. but it's
Right.
just seeing
Like
how
who you are,
who you
how you
are,
handle
like innately
situations.
who
Yeah,
you
sort of your
are.
natural bent.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that part was really cool in seeing like, okay, people really don't see the world the same way I do. Of course, we all think that like, oh, I understand this. I'm right. I know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
especially early.
Maybe that's just me.
It's easy to think, yeah, my way.
Yeah.
Clearly, I chose this way,
Why
and it's the
can't you
best.
see what I'm seeing? Yeah.
Right.
And so that just was really big. And so like my whole house has taken it. Like I've had my my newspaper class, my students. I have had a bunch of kids who's been there for 4 years in a row, and I made them all take it. And so we're like, oh, this is why we argue about creativity stuff, because you are so creative. I am so this way. And so it's just like really eye-opening in putting a name or like putting words to who we are and how we feel and how we react to things, and then actively working knowing that, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
like understanding the other person so
Yeah.
that you can better
relate to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good quote, simple quote is, seek first to understand, then seek to be understood.
You know,
Yes.
honestly, Kyle, I don't know if you said this on the podcast or recently, but you said probably like a few months ago, you said like with your group that you're leading, you are trying to ask more questions than give answers. And so that like has been like ringing in my head a lot lately, and just like, I want to understand better. I don't want to guide
Right.
someone to how I believe, but like
Right.
keep asking questions.
Yeah,
and seeing.
yeah, I probably shared that at one of our like young adult leadership
Yeah.
meetings and stuff. Yeah, no, that's so key. It's and there's sort of tiers to leadership and your own process and the groups that you lead and how long you've been leading them and how long they've been around. But yeah, I was basically sharing. So I've been leading a young adult group for 3 years, and so like at first in any group, like if you're a team captain, I mean, you really got to like take charge generally, I would say, and like give direction, let people kind of know what a standard is. But then, as at least in like my small groups case, I don't want to be teaching at this point. Most people know like what I would say in most situations anyway. Like there's very few things at this point, 3 years later, that I really need to necessarily like make a point about, So it's more about getting them to ask questions or asking questions and getting other people to respond and think about things. And that's, I think, how things really get taught is whenever you're doing less giving and more getting them to give you the answer.
Right.
So yeah, asking questions in general, like as I've told you guys, on a podcast, I think it makes the best podcast is whenever you present a lot of good questions as opposed to good answers, and good answers come from the good questions. So
For sure.
but that goes with anything. Yeah, building friendships, building relationships, letting people know that you care is usually built on a question, not telling them, hey, even if what you say is good, because there's so much, I have like so many questions I want to follow up right now with you on, like, do you think it's more valuable to, if you know the answer to something, do you think it's more valuable to give them the answer or to build trust?
Yeah, I think building trust before anything else, because whatever you're saying is not really going to come through if they don't trust you or like have that rapport with you. And like that's even like as a teacher with students, like they've got to be on your team first before you hit them with the hard questions or have to call mom,
Yeah, because that's so difficult, because all of us, I think, see people when like we probably know the advice that people need to follow in a lot of cases, right? You've probably seen friends that are like obviously making choices that are not good for them, right?
Yes.
Whether it's something they're doing or a way they're spending time or money, like we're in our 20s, so some people can relate to this, some people can't. But like I've heard of friends of mine, maybe not recently, but friends of mine spending like $100 or more on a weekend on alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they probably even know what they're supposed to do because they're sharing that information in like a negative light. They're like, oh, I can't believe I spent, I think the best, to your point, what you're saying, Callie, is I think one of the best approaches is to like build that trust and figure out how to build that trust. And that's built on understanding people more. Exactly what you're saying. Hey, how do you feel about the sororities? Do you recommend sororities? And what tip would you
That's
give?
a good question.
Oh, I really
I'm just looking out for the ladies because
No,
like I can join
actually,
a
speaking
sorority.
of relationships, I wanted to share this. I like going into PC. I did not know anyone there. Oh, I did. I was in youth group with like the quarterback, but he was a senior, so like I was really cool because he knew me.
Let's go.
But when I got
Quarterback
to
of the
school,
football team knows my name. Let's
oh,
go.
Yeah,
I'd be flattered.
Yeah, right. Heyo. And so I got to PC and I just knew nobody. And another thing like with community and relationships is seek out people who need it, but maybe not know they need it. And so one of my friends, who's still my friend today, Elizabeth Nichols. Hey girl, she's gonna listen.
Yeah,
she
she's
like does
for sure
listen.
listening.
So Elizabeth, she
Good
just
shout
like
out.
saw me and she just said, hey, like I want you to come to this Bible study. And since then has like really mentored me, been a good friend. Like the same for my brother. A guy Thomas was the same way for him. Just like saw him and said, hey, like, I mean, I don't really said, hey, let me mentor you, but that's what happened. Like it started with the friendship and has really grown and it's been so special. And the points in my life where I just did not know what I was doing going into college. And like same thing with the sorority thing, like going into college, I just think you're just eyes are wide open. You just don't know what you like. You have
And
a
you're
chance to
freedom
even, like
for the first time
reinvent
of your
yourself.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have
Right.
freedom. And
Yeah,
it's,
some people like almost change their name or like get a
Yeah.
nickname.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like, this,
for sure.
this is my name.
I'm
Yeah.
Sam now. Like Samantha become, you know,
Right,
like
yeah, right.
yeah. I go back Cal now. But
Please no.
see, a nickname I really want is Scrappy. So if y'all can like,
She really tries to make the students call her that.
Is that from something or is that like Scrappy Doo, Scooby
No, like
Doo?
Scrappy, like she can win a fight and beat you to the ground.
Yo, get
like,
some
not a
street
kid.
cred from your
No.
nickname.
Yeah, I want people to look at me and be like, yep, Callie could hold her own.
You need to
She's
get some
Scrappy.
tear tattoos going down your cheeks too.
Nope.
Oh.
But anyways, yeah, all that to say,
You don't want to
I-
know how she got the name Scrappy, dog. You don't want to know.
Nope.
That's exactly it. But it has been so special in my life, like with relationships and like going into an unfamiliar environment. And people like Elizabeth and people like Thomas, they were looking out for people who needed it and maybe didn't know they needed it. And
Just
like
like,
really protected us during that time.
yeah, just like Callie's email to me my freshman year.
I was not leading up to like two.
Oh, that's where it started through the email?
But yeah,
Yeah, it was an email.
for sure.
Sure.
But
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
it's just like fun. I just like would probably say advise others, and I'm like taking up all the time. I'm sorry. To like really look out for people who need community, and just like might not know how to get there.
Jump in.
Yeah, you know, just like looking out for people in new environments.
So having said that, what I'm hearing, you recommend sororities.
I did. I love
Yeah,
my sorority.
no, same.
So long as there's people there, maybe, that are looking out.
Oh yeah, like we
'Cause
had the
I don't know.
best sorority Bible study. Like we,
And I
and
feel like-
I know school also.
So that
are
sounds different because in my mind, when I hear sorority, fraternity, and I went to the Citadel, so we didn't have either.
Yeah.
Really, each company was kind of like a fraternity, and you didn't really have a choice. It's not like you rushed to
Yeah.
join one. But my perspective is that mainly, parties are a big priority, and fraternities, sororities. And
Yeah,
like, I don't, it's just I don't know. I don't have a great perspective, but I also wasn't in one. So
Right, and that's
could you maybe
and
share?
all schools are different, and that's just like not so much our experience. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I feel like-
I remember. Okay, so it's called pref night. It's the night before, like night before you
Pref-
find out what
pref?
where you
Like you-
show which
Preference.
sorority you prefer, like your
Yes.
preference.
Ah.
And so you go to like 2 or
Pref.
3 parties.
You got to
but,
shorten
like,
it.
Yeah.
You
pref-
got to.
pref
If
night.
it's not short, it's not cool.
And this is
Right.
like the real deal. We're like, where you seal the deal. Like,
Yeah.
Is it like
this
PR
girl going to join my sorority or not?
Is it
And so-
PREPH?
No,
or is
PR,
it-
yeah,
Pref.
like preference.
I didn't know if there was a PH. Like,
Nah.
Like fat, PHIT. But no, so that night I remember being a freshman and like looking around and saying like so many of these older girls have stepped in, like been there for me in ways that I didn't know I needed and in ways that like a freshman girl would have needed. And
like-
being away from home for the first time and like looking around like these
Yeah.
are my people. And so that was super fun. I cried for Ashley's pref night and I was like, I just want you to pick 85 so much. And she's
And
like,
ever since then, she has never cried to me again.
and she's like, oh yeah, I'm saying
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
She's
she
like-
didn't need to cry.
But it
but
has
it sealed the deal. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
it really has
Like, I was just-
positively
yeah.
affected my life. I do think that like, yeah.
Yeah, who knows if Callie and I would be friends if it weren't for our sorority. and our
Gosh, that would have been
school.
sad otherwise. But yeah, we had a great sorority experience.
10 out of
Okay.
10 recommend.
Presbyterian College.
Go Blue Hose.
Blue hose.
Go Bucks.
All right.
Sorry.
And well, so let me do a follow up because I mean I'm a little bit interested in this topic. Topic of sororities. So I don't
Like
know.
on the spot.
I don't think we have time to go through the whole like process necessarily. But like if I was a candidate looking for a fraternity or sorority, like what's a question or two that I need to be asking to like know if this is something that's going to be a good place for me to be for the next 4 years, because those 4 years are pretty impactful. You choose the wrong fraternity sorority, I mean, I guess you can get out anytime, but
Well, and I think we
not
also
that
had a
great.
different experience in that our sorority recruitment was in October. And so we weren't going in blind like a lot of other schools are, just like going into like the events and like seeing me and the girls, like that's like snap judgment wasn't there for us. So when we went into it, it was, you just got to know older girls or like people, even just like who went to school. And so I don't really know how to answer that question just because we have a different experience in that.
was it easier for you to find?
Yes. So like when I
sure.
looked around, I remember like at Pref and I looked around and I was like, all of these girls have been like, one of the girls worked in the writing center and like helped me with my papers. And I was like, she's great. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Like this girl,
Okay.
I like has led me in a Bible study.
That makes a little more sense.
Yeah. And so I have just like their positive character had like shone through. And that's not saying other sororities didn't, but like these are the girls I gravitated to
Right.
Okay.
when I first got
well, that's
to
a good
school.
call then for like, you know, the flip token, the people that are already in the fraternities and sororities. That's a good token. Like if you want to
Yeah.
recruit good people, or if you want to be a positive representative, then like, yeah, go like help tutor
Yeah.
the freshmen
Yeah,
or,
and
or
it's-
whatever.
And it's the same
that
thing.
looks like.
Yeah, with they probably didn't know I was like seeing them, but I knew that like, they wore like their sorority letters, so I knew who they were,
Yeah.
and like
Representing even if they didn't know it.
They're
Yeah,
represented
and that
well.
their
Yeah.
actions really spoke louder than
Yeah.
their words that they said, like what they did. That's the biggest
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. So that actually helps give me a lot, because in my mind I'm thinking like you just go to this big event, you don't know anybody, and it's just like this interview where everyone's grading you on like either how cool you are, either how good you look, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I have in my mind, which is just not complete. So
yeah.
appreciate
I'm
that.
glad to have helped you with
Yeah.
And again, like I remember, sorority recruitment. It's just for our school. Again, I think we were different because I loved all the girls in like a lot of different sororities, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I
We-
was on the cheerleading team, and half of the cheerleaders were in another sorority than
And
what
so-
I
and
joined.
I also- yeah,
But
I-
we
I-
still kept our friendships.
it wasn't like these are my only friends.
That's good. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
fear. It's
Yeah.
like you join this and those are your friend, no one else wants.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So that's not accurate either. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
like it.
The Delta Pi, debunking all the sorority myths.
Gonna write a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might have to rename this podcast. We'll talk about relationships next week. This is about
Yeah,
sororities.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, I like that.
Relations. Sisters.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
Charles, what was your? I wish someone had told me.
Yeah, man. So for me, honestly, man, I wish somebody would have told me that relationships can be intimidating and that's okay. Right. So, you know, growing up kind of in the South, just kind of moving around a lot. Right. I didn't really have a lot of opportunity to make a lot of really close, tight friends. You know, that was kind of before Facebook. I think MySpace was like just getting popular when I was growing
Hey,
up.
I got a poll. Y'all know what Xanga is?
Oh, I had a Zenga.
You had one?
No, what
What
is
is
that?
Come on, Callie, let's go. See, I was telling somebody the other day, and they were like, "We don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "That's pre-MySpace, bro.
Yeah.
You just missed the cut."
Oh no.
I went through every.
What is that?
Oh, it's like a blog site. Like I went through. I remember like my first day of school. One time I was like, first block, this is what happened. Second block, this is what happened. Third block, this is what happened. At
And-
lunch, this happened. And fourth block, and then what's chilling practice. And yeah, I
I used it to
probably gave too
review
much information
video
in the
games.
world. Reviewed video games.
Yeah, I reviewed video games.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like 13 years old and I love video
Kyle.
games.
That's awesome.
This
I
just
really
goes
like
to prove, even if you're a video game addict as a kid, you can still be somewhat successful.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
fair.
look at us. Yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
podcasting.
So yeah. So anyway, pre-Xanga, pre-MySpace,
Yeah.
difficult. I hear you.
Pre social media expansion. We'll go with that, right?
True.
So like I said, kind of didn't have the opportunity to make a lot of really close friends, but I got really good at having like the superficial conversations. I got really good at having small talk. And it wasn't until I was like 18, 20, I joined the Air Force. And, you know, you're kind of with a group of guys, at least in basic, for like two months. So you get to know really like the ins and outs of what makes a good friend of mine, Brett Jadvani, right? And so,
Dude, that's a cool name.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is a cool name.
Strong.
I'll
Shout
get
out,
him to
Shout
listen
out.
to this, man. But yeah, and so like relationships and things like that, learning those dark aspects maybe of different people can be intimidating. But the flip side is that's okay, because you have dark aspects to yourself that you sometimes like keep secret, that you won't consciously like just let out and let everybody know, right? And so I think like the big thing, you know, once you mature, once you get older, is learning how to connect with people, right? And not just connect with people like, hey man, look at this great fall weather, right? Like that's easy. Like
Yeah.
it is great fall weather.
It is tremendous.
Right. But that's
Right.
easy if I'm just talking to somebody, you know, maybe at church or at school or what have you. But even like doing this podcast, like this is almost weird now in 2018 because I don't think people sit and have real conversations with each other. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if it was, you know, the 1800s, like would podcasts would they be
think.
popular?
Yeah.
More
like, would
popular
that
because
be a
maybe
thing?
there was less social media, in other words, less like surface level
Right.
conversations. You think?
Yeah. And I'm not dogging podcasts. Obviously, I love Generation Giants. I love every other podcast
right.
that I listen to. Right. But it's like,
We're all
because
fans.
it's new information. But at the same time, like just the act of sitting down and holding a real one-on-one conversation, like looking somebody in the eye and talking to them about something other than the weather or about something other than what happened on ESPN or MTV or what have you. It can be scary, you know? And so
Yeah.
I wish somebody would have told me that.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of goes back to the last episode. You know, kind of the theme of the last episode with Josh Campbell was put yourself out there.
Yeah.
which I think is important. You know, it's you only get this day once, you only get this
Right.
year of your life once. You know, you only get your life once. So, you know, I think you're really missing out when you do hold on to those fears of, you know, you don't have to necessarily give your whole life story right off the bat to a stranger,
Right.
But maybe start with a question,
Right.
you know, to open up some gates.
Right.
Or, you know, usually a question actually is again better than just saying something about yourself
Yeah.
off the bat.
And I think, Callie, you were saying earlier, like, you never know who's actually watching you.
Yeah.
You know, so you could just be in the library, you could be in class. I can't tell you how many times I've ran into somebody and they're like, hey man, like we had New Testament together. I'm just like, oh man, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I hope I didn't walk in on a bad day and
Yeah,
we didn't
for
have
sure.
a bad interaction.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that can be kind of creepy.
Yeah. And that goes to also like digging deep into relationships. I remember at Presbyterian College, we had like a youth group kind of thing. And one of the big pushes we had was when you see each other on campus or even other people, to say like, hey, how are you doing? Not just doing your automatic response of, I'm good, how are you? You know, but like be real with each other.
Yeah,
and
kind
say,
of offer something different,
you know,
something real.
I really just struggled with my math test I just took.
Yeah.
I just walked out of a math
know?
test.
So just like kind of things like that, by like not just like
Carry on with your day and
Yeah.
just saying, yeah,
Yeah.
bye-bye. Yeah.
but having true interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially in the military too, the relationships, obviously every relationship I think to a certain degree is really connected, but I would say especially so in the military, right? Because people move around, you know, you work with and for different people, right? So down the line, you could be working with somebody who worked with your best friend who already has some kind of knowledge about you that you don't even know this person. So I think like just relationships in general, like obviously these relationships here are important, but even like just walking down the street, because like we were saying earlier, people are watching, like whatever you're wearing, like you were kind of saying, the lady was wearing the sorority shirt. So we got to think about that. Like if I'm wearing the Seacoast Church hat or shirt,
Yeah.
like people will automatically think like,
To which I am.
yes, correct.
At all times.
Shout out
Right
Seacoast.
now.
Oh, there it goes.
At all times.
Yeah, all time. Yeah, it's the funniest thing. Like, you know, I'll go somewhere without a hat on. They're like, hey, you don't have much hair. When did you start doing that? Like, well, it's been like that for a while now, actually. It's like
What
the
a
funniest,
bold
but
statement.
the funniest,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, all my friends are
Where's
just
your
bold
hair?
people, right? Well, it's the funniest thing because, like, at work and stuff, like I tend to just kind of dress a little bit different than
So you don't wear
other
hats.
parts of my life. Yeah, actually, I did for a while, but not my current employer. But yeah, but it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny because
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. Eventually, you do kind of form these spheres of influence, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes people see you differently in different spheres, but yeah, no, I like all that.
Yeah. Who yeah.
Yeah. So friendships can be difficult, and that's okay. Yeah, to y'all's point about, you're always representing one quote that always sticks with me that I have written down in my room that hopefully I can remember right now on the spot is, I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's a quote that sticks with me a lot because I think you have to, it's all about perspective. Your relationships, I think, are a reflection on your perspective you have
Right.
toward yourself and toward others.
Yeah.
And so if you have that perspective of, you're representing something, and today is a new day full of opportunities. The people that you see, even if you already know them, where they are and their challenges and in their life is unique to that specific day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I almost approach it like everybody we see, even if we already know them, it's almost like a slightly different person every day because everyone's growing toward, something. Everyone's changing, different experiences. You never know when your coworker just had like a terrible fight with his wife or whatever the day before, or your classmate at school. You never know if their parents literally just got a divorce.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you see people at school or at work or whatever, and they're in a bad attitude, and you start asking like the wrong questions, like, well, what did I do to give them this bad attitude? Like you start making it about, at least I do sometimes.
Yeah.
You start making it about yourself, or like,
Right.
do I need to apologize about something?
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like really, maybe you just need to like ask them how they're doing,
Yeah.
and hopefully, if you built that trust, like Callie, like you were talking about, that can be very important. Hopefully they may open a gate to share something.
Yeah.
Nice.
And school's a great place because there's all kind of problems going on in our public school. Lots of good things going on too in our public schools, but plenty of all kind of problems. It's not even always like the student's fault either.
Right.
Like, usually it's not really anyone necessarily's fault. It's
Just learning how to deal
Just
with
happens.
your emotions and like dealing with what is coming your way.
yeah. And
Speaking of,
Oh no. That was.
Wait,
I'm
that's really a perfect lead into
Yeah.
mine. Can I go ahead and go? Are we good? Am I allowed?
affirmative. Yeah.
check.
All right.
Yeah.
So
See, that's our 2 coming out.
Green lights. That was
Yes.
amazing. How'd y'all do?
Thank
Did y'all
you.
time that?
Yeah.
Cashly.
It was in unison, everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
no.
Cashly came out. Came
Yeah.
out strong.
Okay, so-
Ashley, what's yours?
ready?
Ready.
So I wish I would have known before that with your relations, you just got to be real. You got to share your emotions. Good day, bad day, you got to be honest with each other and just get down to the nitty gritty. So going about like opening up to people and like being real and saying, how was your day? Going beyond that too with your emotions, like be real.
Yeah.
Tell each
Yeah.
other the way you feel. There is a time for joy, and that is a great time. There's also a time for sadness and anger. And just knowing how to read each other and how to understand what one's going through and just be there as a support, that makes a great friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So follow-up question. Right?
Yeah.
So check this out. So you say be real.
Yeah.
How do you gauge who to be real with and
Yeah.
be real with what?
Oh.
Oh,
It's a good question.
Oh, that's real deep because you
Okay.
also have to guard yourself.
Right,
But
yeah.
I think I think
Possibly.
you know when you have a true friend. And
Yeah.
there are things that you pick and choose to tell to friends and not. But when you've been together long enough, you know that that person is a true friend. And I think that God puts those people in our lives to help us and to use those things, and to not be real with those people is kind of putting us in isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
That is good. Yeah. Good answer.
Yeah, like
too.
how you
Yeah,
said
I-
about protecting yourself and like protecting who you let in, because
Yeah.
all people have opinions, and same thing. People are going to say, hey, you should do this and you should do this. And I think we all get caught up in that a lot of times, but protecting who you let in to like really better yourself and understand your surroundings and understand others.
Yeah.
Yeah, something comes to mind. A couple things come to mind. Y'all know Craig Groeschel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
Church.
Shout out Life Church. Craig Groeschel.
Oh,
Craig
man.
Groeschel Leadership Podcast. Life
Hey
Church
there.
Podcast.
Listen
I'm a-
to us.
I'm a big fan. I highly encourage anyone over the age of like 12 to check it out.
There you go. Our reader base, listener base.
And
Specific.
I really do like his leadership podcast a lot. I think he does a good job. And they're like 30-minute podcasts. He just kind of speaks into the camera. But one thing he talked about in regards to trust, which we can talk about here, is he answered the question, how do you trust somebody? And his answer was, you trust somebody. It's like, how do you trust somebody?
Yeah.
By trusting them.
Trust them.
That's good.
And that's something that's stuck with me, and it's something that can be difficult to balance without kind of trial and error a little bit. because then there's also one thing I just thought of a little bit. Is there a difference between guarding yourself and guarding your heart? Just sharing personal information. There's plenty of personal information that you could share with a stranger. Obviously, social security number. Probably don't share that.
Nope.
Y'all, I got a call.
Write
I've been
that
getting all
down,
these
do
fake
that.
scam calls. Y'all get these
Yes,
fake scam
all
calls.
the
Yeah,
time.
but we don't answer.
Well, see, the problem is I never know if it's just a client that I don't have their number in my phone.
They will leave a message.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. But
Do not answer those.
I got a call the other day. I made the mistake. It was one I hadn't heard before. It was like they were like, right? They were like, "Hey, I had this number in my phone, but I don't know who this is. Who is this?"
Oh,
So I said my name and then I hung up. But
why would you say your name?
I panicked, Ashley.
Tile.
Tyler,
Kaylor.
I didn't know if it was an old friend. No, don't tell them my Facebook name.
Tile.
We gotta take that out. My Facebook account with like 15
Edit.
friends.
Edit. Edit.
So there is. Yeah. I'm gonna censor that. Beep. Yeah. So
No, they're gonna think I'm cussing. I am not cussing on this thing.
right. So some thoughts that come to mind though about trust. And if you have a bad day, it's a great question. Do you share your bad day? Is it always good to share your bad day? I would say there's plenty of personal information that you can share. Okay, if your parents like just filed for a divorce, that's kind of also your parents' business. So probably don't at school start telling kids
All
that
your
like
friends.
don't sometimes keep things a little bit vague, but you can still make a point to say like having some family struggles at home kind of thing.
I need help.
Yeah. Need help. Or having some financial difficulties right now, or if you're employed and I'm really just not enjoying my job, and maybe we can talk about it later, something. But recognize that there are times where there's personal information you shouldn't share. Okay, so so social security number or issues
Facebook names.
Facebook names, don't share those.
Yikes.
But for the in many cases you just have to, assuming they're like a reasonable person in your life.
Yeah.
Who could possibly become a friend. The only way they can become a better friend is to trust them.
Right.
Yeah, it goes back to the Bible, what the Bible says about that a friend loves at all times, but like a brother is formed in adversity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
read that
kind of
today.
Being
Back to the
real.
Bible.
Proverbs
Good
like
work.
15 or something. Just read
Proverbs
that.
17:17. I looked it up before I came.
I was close.
Just to let you
Hey,
know.
I was within two
You were
Proverbs.
in
Come
the
on now.
team.
Can I not
You
get
were
any
in-
Yeah,
credit
you
for
were
within
there.
two
Yeah, you
Proverbs?
were good in the Proverbs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just going back to that and making sure that you have those true friendships and that it's not just a surface friendship, that you're
Yeah.
digging deep and that you're there for each other, because in the end, that's what we need.
That's good. So actually, let me ask you this. How do you see a difference between asking for a friend and asking for more like a mentor type figure? Is there a difference in relationship there that you would share different information?
Yeah, because I feel like a mentor is someone who has been there before you and has done what you're going through right now and has survived, but is on the other side of
Yeah.
your situation and has more light to shed on you. Where a friend, you may be further along in your walk than they are, and you're helping them, or vice versa. I just feel like a mentor has been there before and has more to speak to that situation.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think you should share information with people that are all your age? Or do you think there's like more certain information maybe that you want to share with people that are older than you, or maybe even people that are younger than you? How do you guys see that carried out in your own life?
Yeah, that's honestly a really good question. So I think the best mentors are also great friends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And
Actually
so,
heard that recently. Like how do you find a great mentor? Just become their friend,
right. Yeah.
Like act as you would someone who's older than you that's a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even amongst your friends, you can kind of identify certain traits within your friends that they may do better than you. So you can enlist them and say, hey, look, I'm really bad at sending emails, but you're really good at sending emails. So can you just like help me in that area of life, right? I think it's good to have like the mentor who overlooks everything in your life. But sometimes I think it's also like really great to have the mentor who's specifically responsible. Not to say that they can't know any other information, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have a mentor, so with flying, well, this is my mentor and he's going to help me fly, right? So he's just trying to teach me how to fly. Not to say I can't talk to him about my girlfriend or other stuff like that,
Right.
but I think it just helps if they know too, like, hey, I'm here specifically to help you with this.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Callie, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are people in your life that you just know you can share the big things with, and the same thing with mentors. I felt like really convicted. I think last summer to send some letters to my old Sunday school teachers, and
nice.
they were
Right on.
both both of these men. I don't want to age them, but like I think they're in their 60s. And
They're probably
Shout out
secure in
to
their
the Sunday
age.
school.
yeah,
by now.
for sure. But
If they
yeah.
call it Sunday school, they're probably over the age of like
Yeah.
60.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like no one calls it Sunday school anymore.
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
love Sunday school.
Oh, I am a Baptist. So, anyways, the
Capital
same thing.
B.
Yeah, same thing with like watching their walks and just how I've seen. They're just really special men in my life. Like they are in my dad's men's group, like another
Right.
Baptist thing. And his men's group, they were my Sunday school teachers, and they just stepped in for me when I was in the 8th grade, in the 7th grade, and just felt really convicted to like thank them for that. And I felt really weird at first, even though they're great family friends, but I was like, I need to thank them for the time they spent. And I didn't. Anyways, I feel like I'm going a little off there, but I do think that there are a lot of mentors in our lives who I wouldn't say, oh, that's my mentor. But like I've
Right.
seen them, and I can speak to them, and I can talk with them about the real things because I see their life and I see how they're living, and I see the choices they're making in the lives that they've lived. And
Right.
For sure.
I can grow because of them, and just because of knowing them and just because of seeing them, I'm a better person. So
Yeah,
to
good.
Dr. Moore and to Coach Ammons,
Let's
y'all are
go.
my faves. I love y'all so much.
Let's go.
Cool.
Much love,
Favorite.
Generation Giants
Big love.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah, gosh, yeah, especially being able to thank them later, you can never give enough thanks to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people that have influenced you. So thank them along the way, teachers and mentors.
Yeah.
I kind of pose that question because one person probably won't fill like everything that you need. Like you
Yeah.
may not necessarily have one confidant that you can like share everything about your life with, and that's not to say you're not being real. It's just to say like you might need somebody older than you who's like a mentor figure. To really get specific guidance on something. Like maybe your classmates at school may not necessarily be the end all be all to
Yeah.
you sharing what's going on in your life. Depending on what you're looking for. If you're just looking for someone to listen,
Yeah.
then you can probably just share with pretty much anyone you trust in your life. But
Yeah.
if you're looking for something different, like guidance
Mm-hmm.
or advice, you might want to look, toward other certain people in your life. So just maybe be wary of that, don't maybe not expect one person to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
I like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
That's
Nice.
good.
Well, mine, I guess we'll go to me. So mine, wish someone had told me, view needs as assignments. And so I heard that in a church service a little while back. And it's one of those things that I think relationships, like we talked about, is a lot about perspective. And, with my personality, especially growing up, I'm a very type D personality, the DISC test.
Yes,
the disc.
Me too, man.
You're the D.
Yeah,
What is
man.
You're
that
type
mean?
D
What is that?
personality.
The
D-
dominance,
it's
right?
Like, it's like dominance,
Yeah.
demanding. It's like
terrible.
not patient,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Callie knew.
we did this test.
That's
at,
the type 1 on the Enneagram.
we did
For sure.
okay,
Wondering.
cool. So we did this test at work like twice at my old job. Great employer, and it's kind of funny now because I was the only D personality in the office. And then there's like you take the test, and then the test also tells you like whenever you feel threatened or something like that, like what personality do you shift toward?
Yeah.
And it's like I shifted more toward D. And it's funny. It's actually a little bit funny now, just the way life works. Because in my current office, I'd say in my opinion, I'm probably the least D personality in the office, which is kind of funny. But it works. Like we get stuff done.
Yeah.
But if you ask us to like hang out with you and be your friend, we're probably the worst office to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's funny. So my natural bent is toward, just maybe being less patient, being less relational, very results oriented.
Yep.
And so, growing up, that was always my natural bent. And So probably recognizing like needs around me, or if people need help, seeing it less as like an inconvenience, or seeing it's just a part of life. You're seeing like you talked about, Callie, is understanding people's differences and not thinking that your personality is the best out there, because the older I get, the more I realize that you need this mixture pot of different personalities. Now you can make it work if everyone's just the same. I mean, you can still make life work. Right. But I'd say it's kind of like what we talked about today at church, which was a really great sermon, I thought. So good. Charlotte Gamble.
I know. I want to say Gamble, but I think it's just my
she was great. She was from England.
Redneck coming out.
Shout out. She was great. And she talked about sort of the puzzle and how, all the pieces are needed, and finding your piece is not the difficult part. It's finding your place. Yeah. Because you're all kind of, you're given your piece more or less. Who you are is kind of what you're given, but figuring out where you needs to go. Yeah. And sometimes it changes where it needs to go, because you go over here in one season, then there the next. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, so viewing needs as assignments, so again, back to my personality, just that language works well for me, because I'm very task oriented. So you give me an assignment, like I'm a doer. I'll get it done. Mm-hmm. And that could have helped me. That could have served me a lot better along the way with just students at school, and especially at the Citadel, which I'll share a little bit before we head out of the podcast in a little bit, a parable from the Bible. But especially at the Citadel, being a local guy, a lot of people look to me to get off campus and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time, it's fun at first, but you'd be surprised, at least for me and my personality. A lot of times I was like, bro, no, I don't want to take you off campus. I don't want to wait. I want to go right now. You got to find your own ride off campus. Yeah. I mean, that's your problem. It's not my problem. Yeah. And I could have done a lot better, much better at viewing those certain needs through college, through high school, all school levels as assignments. Those are assignments. Those are callings. That's your purpose today. Yeah. Do what you can to help them. Maybe you can't solve their problem entirely today, because you can't just put out every fire that comes your way, but to view, at least have that perspective. Mm-hmm. And through that, you'll have much better relationships with your family members, and understanding them, that they're people too. Especially when you're growing up, you feel like your parents know everything, because for a while they kind of do. Yeah. And then you start forming your own opinions on things, and you realize they might be right about some things, but there's different ways
to skin a cat,
to see things. Yeah. Or to skin cats if you're like Callie. Yeah. Who just got done babysitting cats.
Okay. But that's how it goes.
How are those cats you just cat sat?
Yeah, they're great.
Good. Okay.
They survived.
And the 40-year-old pelican?
How's
that?
Toucans.
Still alive? Okay, good.
Watching people's animals, I feel that makes me more nervous than watching people's kids.
Hey, that's a need right there. Those animals, I guess.
That's fair.
For your pet sitting needs, call Callie.
Please don't. Oh my gosh. I get I'm so nervous.
843.
Star.
Yes.
That was good.
So that would be mine, and I think that advice would serve so many people well, even if it might get frustrating, even if you feel like you won't get repaid, especially not immediately. Man, that perspective alone will, I think, make you a world changer, help create fulfillment, help lead you on the right path.
That's good.
Yeah, I think so. I went to a sermon a while back. Shout out Stephen Papaditch, right?
Papaditch on our advisory committee.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Stephen.
Pastor.
Hey, Stephen.
At the well, right? And I feel like Pop has coined this term, but it's about being intentional, right? And so you and I are both like D's on that disc test, right? So I kind of suffer from the same thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times people are like, hey, man, like, let's hang out. All right, cool. And I never hit them back or whatever. It is, vice versa, whatever, right? But just like, especially within relationships, I think being intentional with people is, I think people can see that. Even like you said, like, if you don't have all the answers, right? Like, I don't know everything. You don't know everything, and that's okay. But if I can be intentional and at the very least show you that I care just about our relationship, I think that goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So you and I got to work on being intentional. Right.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like, these things don't come easy. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like good, solid friendships, relationships with people don't just happen normally.
Nope.
I mean, unless you're just some kind of just freaky, you just love everybody and you don't have any personal problems.
Yeah.
And you never have to worry about yourself, and you're just always thinking about other people, and life is great.
Yeah.
But unless you're that person, yeah, you really have to be intentional to have strong, healthy relationships.
Right.
But I think the effort that you put into it is worth it.
Yeah. Amen.
And I have to remind myself that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, kind of before we even go, any other practical steps then you guys would advise along those lines, or anything else as before we even do a closing round? Because I'll add for myself, or from myself, that I do having a calendar app. So we use Outlook here on the podcast to try to stay organized with events and stuff like that we're doing for the podcast. And with Outlook, I have like 5 email addresses on there. So, if you're over the age of like 13, you probably need an email. I feel like these days.
Yeah.
It's just your name and not attributes about yourself. Pretty girl 1, 2, 3.
Talkative 12.
Yeah.
That was actually
What's
my
the
best
video?
friend's growing up email. Talkative 12. Shout out to
12.
Katie. Hey.
Yeah.
Talkative
You
12.
name yourself after a video game, like Game Freak 47.
Yeah.
That was Kyle's.
Yeah, right.
For the Zenga.
Yeah, that was my thing. So, which those are cool. You can have that for a while, but eventually you'll probably want one that you kind of want to keep for a while. And so with email and Outlook, you get a calendar. So having a calendar is so important. And hopefully, if you're a teenager, you started using a calendar. But that's how I stay organized, at least with events. I mean, with a to-do list, I usually keep some kind of journal type thing where I'll put to-do lists, or I just turn on my notebook, my note app on the phone and just jot it, because I got to get it out of my head. Otherwise, the to-do list, I got to see it, I got to write it, I got to not. Otherwise, I'll have to keep reminding myself of it, and it just wastes mental energy if I'm having to keep reminding myself of what to do.
Yep.
And the list gets rather large sometimes. So, but the calendar app, it's so important. So 2 things that I would encourage everybody to do. Number 1, put birthdays in there. All right, put birthdays, make it an all-day event, get it, make it recurring every year, and then you just never have to necessarily worry about asking for people's birthdays as long as you have that email address. Don't depend on Facebook. Personally, I more or less got rid of I did get rid of my Facebook. I might have an underground Facebook that doesn't need to be distributed.
Private.
And so keep birthdays on there. And then number 2, personal fun things that you set up with friends. Put it in your calendar and just commit it on there, and then put a reminder on there for 30 minutes beforehand. And at least for me, just the way my personality is, if I tell somebody I'm going to meet them somewhere, if I don't put it in my calendar, I'm going to forget. I'm not going to show up, and that creates problems.
Yeah.
That creates problems.
Yeah.
I know when I was a kid, whenever I would even have friends, which is kind of a reflection on the parents probably, whenever you're like a kid. Whenever I would have friends not show up, whenever we talked about it, like coming over and hey, come on, my 8-year-old little heart just was very disappointed.
No, I'm thinking about your
Out of
mom
your
having a
chest.
big old pizza for just you.
Yeah. That was the perk though. I got to eat the whole pizza. But yeah. Don't just. I would encourage people, don't just view calendars and emails as just for professional use. That you start using when you're like 22. Start using it now and start even putting some personal stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Any other practical stuff from you guys?
Yeah, man. So check this out, right? In ROTC, there's a lot of opportunity for us cadets to interact with each other, right? I'm trying to take more of like a backseat approach and just kind of analyze like why people act the way that they act, but also kind of think about and bounce it off like with myself, right? And just kind of in the theme of building relationships. Sometimes what I see, like with people, right? So I guess like with the peacock, right? I'm just switch really quick. I know that was a really hard shift, but just jump
Sometimes
on
with the peacock, right?
Peacock. We're there.
just jump
We're
on
there.
the train.
I know where
with
you're
me,
going
right?
with this.
So check this out. So I think in the animal kingdom, for a peacock to mate, they have to show their colors. They have to show their feathers, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we as humans like are the same way, and especially like when it comes.
Mate?
Well, not necessarily.
Kyle had to go there.
He did, man.
I'm just
You're
posing
doing
the
great,
question,
sweetie.
man.
Come on.
What situations does this work?
Yeah. But at the
Asking
very
for a friend.
least, like with making friends, like we want to show like just our best attributes of ourselves, even if it's from like a superficial point, right? So I was having this conversation with my girlfriend Chandler actually yesterday.
Hey, Chandler.
And so
Shout out Chandler Moore.
Love Chandler.
Chandler.
so
She's been on here.
yeah. So in Star Wars, right, Master Yoda is like the master of the whole Jedi Council, right? But he only pulls out his lightsaber once throughout like all 6 films, right, that he's in. Well, I guess now 7 because he was in the last one, but spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Cool.
Censor that.
I'm offended.
So I guess I just say all that to say really like I want to take on more of the Master Yoda effect where I don't always have to show my lightsaber. I don't always have to strut my feathers as a peacock, but I can be just as effective with people, right? And so I can be just as intentional without going somewhere and maybe being like the social butterfly. Like being the social butterfly is cool and all, but not if that's not who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so I
That's a good
think
point.
just like the practical takeaway from that is you don't always have to, like if you are the strongest guy in the room or whatever, right? Like you don't always have to show that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't always have to pull out the lightsaber and show, you know. So,
Yeah. True.
Nice.
Anything else?
That was so
Yeah,
fun.
that
This
was
was a
good.
good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Hey, would
I like the
Yeah.
4 of us. Wow.
as far as like,
Just the 5 of us.
Oh,
Conlin's
sorry, Conlin.
here.
Hi,
True.
Conlin.
wait, Colin, have you been there the whole time? Hey, well then,
Conlin does exist. We've never seen him.
yeah.
Y'all have never seen him.
He is
We've seen
here.
him. He's here.
Hey, I'll do a closing. Would you, Charles? Would you mind grabbing the Bible right behind you there?
Yes, sir.
Gotta
Don't
grab
get
it.
choked up. Oh, there you go.
Careful.
Yeah. Sweet.
God bless
That worked
those
well.
long arms.
That
man.
worked
Yeah,
well. That could
yeah.
have destroyed the whole setup there. Um,
Tumbling down.
Done.
Intermission. Be right back.
well, sort of kicking off sort of a final round of thoughts before we start to tail off. So there's a parable in Luke. So I'm going to go to Luke 16. So there's a parable in Matthew, Mark, Luke 16 that I think is really interesting. Actually, we probably could do a whole podcast about it, but we're not. And it's actually more about money, I'd say, but I'm going to take a very strong relationship approach to it because it's also about relationships. So it's the parable of the shrewd manager. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shrewd manager. So this is one of those parables, actually, that whenever I hear, I get kind of angry. That's like the natural part of me. I get kind of angry naturally. And so, but by the grace of God, I've heard a few pastors talk about it and the meaning, because I think it's one of those parables. Sometimes they're kind of easy to understand, I feel like, at times. But this one, I feel like you have to be a little more intentional to figure out what Jesus is trying to say. So I'm just going to read. It's about 8 verses and then make a point about it. So the parable of the shrewd manager writes, Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him in and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be manager any longer. The manager said to himself, what shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. So he called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, how much do you owe my master? 900 gallons of olive oil. Who would buy that much? He replied. The manager told him, take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 455. What a nice guy. Then he asked the second, how much do you owe? 1,000 bushels of wheat, he replied. He told him, take your bill and make it 800. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewdly in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourself, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. And then he writes, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So a lot of people, quote the you cannot serve both God and money part. I think this is a really neat parable, and the point that I want to make here, part of our closing, is I think it shows just how much God cares about relationships. That relationships are more valuable than money. So when I read this, and actually I want to get angry at like the shrewd managers. Like, are you kidding me? He was dishonest with the money of the masters. Like, he deserves to be fired.
Yeah.
And I think whether that's right or wrong, the point I at least want to make here is that it's about perspective, and that, in this story, number one, the question, give an account of your management, is like a huge question. I think that's a question that, I often think about the words, well done, good and faithful servant, right? Yeah. So we've heard that. That's in some songs. It's like, in Christianity, that's like the phrase that we want to hear, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, well done, good and faithful servant. And so, the phrase to precede that statement is give an account of your management. And so no matter who you are or what you do, if you've acted in a way that you prioritize wealth, or you prioritize your job or anything else above relationships, which especially includes family, includes friendships, then I think you've got things backwards. And I think this parable is kind of saying, like, to serve God is to serve others, is to prioritize people, and I think that's important. And so, at the end of the day, worldly wealth it's a zero-sum game, more or less, for us. And we get to pass down stuff to, future generations and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, for us, I always at least like to think like relationships are the main thing that we get to take away with us. And so that's why I think it's really, really important that, at least have the right perspective on it. Yeah. And that you see the value in it. So
Nice.
That was the last little parable that I'll read from. I'd encourage other people to take a listen to it from more educated pastors through seminary school to talk about it and talk about many different angles. Because, I think the beauty of the gospel is like especially you can read it on any given day and read it differently. You can hear different people talk about it, and they'll have different interpretations of it and highlight different things. And so I think that's really cool about the gospel and just how versatile it is. So we'll do a little closing round of any final thoughts from you guys. Anything else you want to add?
I'm going to read something really quickly.
Yes,
I know we're running.
Do. And what is it? No, we are not running out of time.
Because you know what? We're having so much fun. They're still listening, for sure. I'm going to read from Dance, Stand, Run by Jess Connolly. And a lot of this, maybe I'm just still on a chosen high. Girl power. Everyone, let's love each other and community and danger.
Yes.
Dangerous, right?
Yeah, dangerous.
Chosen.
Do y'all feel more dangerous?
Oh, I mean, that's my outfit. I'm wearing
she has on
cool
a camo
earrings.
jacket.
I'm wearing a camo jacket, feeling myself.
Did they sell camo jackets at the event?
No, but Ashley
They
was
missed out
wearing
on
one.
opportunity.
I did
wear
wear
one.
and I was inspired.
Yeah. With my black chosen shirt underneath.
So we're twinning. Okay.
Always.
I can't. Okay. Sorry, I could not see for those of you at home. Could not see from the microphone. But I am going to skip around a lot, but read from Dance, Stand, Run. If we're going to run on mission, we've got to go in a group. We'll need to repent more often and check on each other. We'll spend time caring for each other, sometimes almost as much as we care for the people we're ministering to, but we'll be so glad we went together. There are none of us who are discounted from the ministry, and there are none of us who get to bypass disciple making either. It's clear we're promised the gift of the Holy Spirit. We're not promised ease or pain-free disciple making. When you come against the schemes of the enemy, you'll need community to help to fight and intercede for you. We all need the occasional poking and prodding to get going, to get back after a tumble, like an annoying text from your running group when the bed covers feel warm and your eyelids feel heavy. I need women in my life to tell me that my mission matters and that it's worth fighting for. I need women in my life to tell me when I'm taking it too seriously and need to let loose and get back to dancing. I need men and women in my life to help me ask the hard questions about where I'm putting my time and my money, whether or not I'm remembering the holy ground I stand on. I need a friend to celebrate with me when God uses my service to make a new disciple, and I need friends who still sit with me as I cry or pray over the souls who are so far from Him, even in this book. Okay, so just
let's
good. Go. Yeah. With community, I mean, we hear all the time, you just can't do this alone. Like the people who, when you are ready to throw in the towel or you're tired or you don't want to go running, the people who tomorrow morning will be going to Burn Boot Camp.
Gotta go.
At 5:30 in the morning.
5:30.
And their friend Madison, love her. But I think
Madison.
she hates us sometimes.
Did you kind of get
I'm sorry I skipped the last rep, Madison.
Quitters.
You just couldn't do another squat.
But for real, no, but seriously, just the going together as women, as men and women, as men, all of us who are just seeking the Lord, seeking each other and doing great things. Go everyone.
Solid.
Dropping the mic.
Nice.
the book.
Ashley, I feel like you should have gotten a thumbs up that day that you came in after getting pulled over by the cop.
Oh,
You know
she
what I mean?
did.
Yeah.
All right.
You get some props from your group.
They were like,
Yeah.
yeah, girl.
All right, just so everyone knows, I wasn't speeding. I wasn't
Oh, yeah,
kind
this
of
was
doing
not on the-
something wrong.
Her taillights were out.
My taillights were out, and so
We
this
got
wasn't on the earlier, right? So I got pulled at 4:58 in the morning.
Yeah.
Shout out to the nice state trooper who pulled us over to help me with my automated lights.
I want to see the body cam footage. We've been trying to get it because we were frantic.
yeah.
We're like,
I was
what?
so frantic. I don't know if you have found this out about me yet or not, but I do not like to break rules and I do not like to get in trouble. So when things like that happen, I am so
You
flustered.
give them your credit card.
I gave
Waterworks.
him my credit card instead of my license.
He was like,
Don't do that. He
We're
goes,
not
"We're
going
go-"
shopping.
But it was very nice and only
He
got
was
a
a
warning.
nice guy, a nice man. He wanted to protect us. I mean,
Bless
if
up.
I saw someone without their lights on at 4:58
I would think
in
they
the
were
morning,
crazy.
Yeah.
I would think there would be a problem.
Right.
And he was serving and protecting. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. It
Good.
will not
Got those
happen
lights
again. I promise. Thank you.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah. My dad was so disappointed that my lights have been off for a week.
It happened. I
okay.
mean, how are you supposed to know? Someone's got to. You
can't
got to have
see
community.
behind you.
You
Yeah,
got to
and-
have community to let you know.
And y'all, yeah, that wasn't the first time I had driven at nighttime with the car like that.
This nice man helped us. You'd just still be driving in the dark. I
Actually-
feel like we
Thank
can
you.
turn this into a very nice Jesus thing. You'd been driving in the dark for this long, and then someone came to you and showed you where
The
you were
light.
missing out. The light is here.
Oh, my
Amen.
goodness.
God bless.
Slight reach. Hey, were you?
What a fun
were-
time.
Were you
Like,
driving to Ziki
aggressive.
the other night? Whenever we all met, were you driving?
Yeah.
Was that your
I
car?
was driving to Tzatziki.
Wait, did you notice my car?
I actually did notice it.
Oh, you didn't say anything.
But no, I thought you just
So here's
you
the
forgot
real
to turn
story.
on your lights, but you're about to turn them on.
Kyle. No, so I washed my car last Thursday.
Are you sure your headlights are on?
So I think like the fog lights have been on the whole
You
time.
yeah, you had your fog lights on.
And not the headlights. But y'all, I'm
That would've
telling
been
you,
helpful to know then.
I
I knew
have
you were going
driven
close,
back
though.
from Somerville to my house after like football games and like very much in the dark. Like it was so dangerous.
Dangerous.
Thank you to
Dangerous.
Officer.
Thank you, officer.
Blue lights.
Yes.
Well, you're just
And
living
thank
you were just
and
living out the
thank
chosen
you-
banter.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Dangerous.
the
Living
warning.
dangerous.
Dangerous.
I drive without my headlights on.
Yeah.
Darn right.
Yeah.
Heck no.
No.
Darn right. That's for wimps. I don't need
Thank
I
you
don't
for
need
the
taillights or
warning
headlights.
and not the ticket and for not yelling at me when I handed you my credit card and
We were flustered people, but we made
Nothing
it.
for him to complain about, I
Yes.
guess. There.
Yeah.
yes.
That's fair.
And thank you, Trainer Madison, for turning the day around.
Yes, we love Madison goes to Seacoast with us. She's
Yeah.
a great lady, a great young adult lady.
Yes.
Nice.
We love
Right.
her.
Fitness.
Right.
She's tough. TUFF tough.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, final shout outs and thanks and plugs, you know. So everyone listening, hit the subscribe button, whether you're listening on the iTunes or on the Stitcher, on the
Follow
Google
us.
Play, soon to be Spotify, I think,
Oh, nice.
and on the YouTube.
The
And-
YouTube.
No.
And on
Communications
the-
director, follow us
Instagram.
on everything.
Communications.
Follow us on
Director.
Instagram at Generation Giants.
Yeah.
Check us out. There'll be a video from today or footage from today up already on there on their story. So
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
send us any ideas that you have for future podcasts. Let us hear it.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep. Yep.
Fun
Stay
times.
tuned for this series. It's going to be crazy phenomenal. And
Crazy.
of course, you know, we're always on the hunt to feature all kind of craziness. We're always on the hunt for those next generation leaders, so expect that as well. Continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we
Great
need to be
times.
like, break.
Hey,
Yeah.
did we mention that you're a movie
Thank you.
star? We kind of mentioned it, but I don't know if we.
Here we go. Yes.
Ashley's a movie.
So your cheerleading squad is officially famous. Their cheerleading is now an instrument for terror
Some of them.
and
That's the
extreme
truth.
fright,
We,
and it's gonna haunt people for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, so we may or may not
Great.
have been in a movie that may or may not have come out this past weekend.
It may or may not be called
May or may
Halloween.
not.
May or
May not be
have
called
Michael
Halloween.
Myers
Filmed
in
in
it.
Charleston.
So look out for
So,
Ashley in the
yeah.
party scene, right?
Yes, so there's
You
like
were
a
partying.
scene. Yeah. No, I'm the chaperone. Don't worry. But anytime
Keeping
you
things pure.
anytime you
We
see a
were
cheer
worried.
girl on there, just know, one, they're with me.
They're
Some-
with
Somerville
me.
High
Those
School
are my
cheerleaders.
girlies.
Yeah, go girls.
Yep. And
fun.
yep, nationwide. So all of you listeners on the West Coast, I see you. I see you pop up in our stats.
Oh, hey.
Oh yeah.
Hi
Yep.
there.
That's us in the that's us in the
That's
Halloween
Michael
movie.
Myers. Back in LA.
It's Michael, he's back.
talking about this stuff. Stop.
It's okay, you guys.
Hey, could you
we
shut the
talked
door
about
to the
frogs.
closet?
Yeah.
From frogs to Michael Myers. Where will we go next?
I'm just gonna say,
Scaring children since
I'm
2017.
still thinking about those potatoes. Let's.
Shout out
the fried
to
potato
Zoe's
salad.
Kitchen.
Yeah,
Oh,
Zoe's
man.
Kitchen.
Dude.
Sponsored, maybe? Question mark.
Question
Yeah.
mark, please.
Please.
If you live in Charleston or
The chicken
wherever
was
else
so
they're
good.
located, Zoe's Kitchen, phenomenal.
Yeah, really good.
And we're not getting any kickback. I'm just a fan of their food, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, here for it.
Amen.
We paid for our
Eat
meal
well,
today.
feel well. Well, that's about all the time we have. Thank everybody for listening. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. We're gonna be maybe same place next episode, or we'll be in front
Who
of a live
knows?
audience here soon. I don't know.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Coming to an
So-
audience near you.
Awesome.
Yeah, like if you have a space or something, you can just.
Yeah, if you got a space,
Yeah.
like
have
a big auditorium,
Yeah, we can
Let
like
us know.
sell
like a
out.
coliseum.
Dude, that'd be wild.
I'm
Wild.
That'd be wild.
Wild.
I would like really be hiving then. I'm sure y'all can see it now. I just get so excited and nervous. Okay,
Awesome.
one,
Thanks,
two,
guys.
three,
Break.
break.
Cool.
Oh, yeah,
good.
we're really done. Okay.
You have to end it with the picture of Michael Myers just flat.
No.
For so much more, we lost ourselves.